Hey there guys, Erin here again. Another What I Eat in a Day Wednesday. If you are somebody who is unfamiliar with my channel, I'm Erin. I eat a ketogenic based diet. I also try to practice a whole foods, real foods based keto approach to eating. So that is kind of the mantra for how I eat and the way I go about doing it. So this day that I filmed was a lazy Sunday, and in the spirit of lazy Sundays, I kind of went after a lot of comfort-ish based foods and just trying to keep things as simple as possible and making sure that I'm getting, my micro and macronutrient needs met for the day. So that's kind of just what I went after. Also, at the end of this video, I am going to be showing another dinner that I made. I filmed kind of an extra dinner because I do post what I'm eating throughout the week on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can, and you would get a good idea of what I'm eating and what I'm doing on keto throughout the week versus just once a week on these videos. This day I started my day off lazily. I sat on the couch for like a good 45 minutes because why not? It's Sunday and typically I do a lot of work in the afternoon, but in the morning I just enjoy my time. It's the only real free time day that I get throughout the week, and so I really take advantage of it. I made my typical coffee, and that is just a tablespoon of coconut oil, a tablespoon of MCT oil, 2 tablespoons of collagen, and then because it's fall, I topped it off with some pumpkin pie spice in order to kind of add a little extra flavor in there. So one of the questions I get about my coffee a lot is, why do I use that glass system? And that is a Chemex, and it is really great because it's a drip coffee system, so it's really easy to do. You just heat water up in like a kettle, grind your beans, put them in a paper filter, dump the water over it slowly so that it drips through. And what I like about it is it's a all glass system, so there's no heating and cooling of plastic, and that it is something that doesn't have tubes or wiring, and it doesn't really kind of require any cleaning. I'm just not a big fan of Keurigs because they're really impossible to get all the way clean. You can be the cleanest person in the world and still get gunk built up in your Keurig. Their cleaning system and their method for cleaning still helps to retain water within the tubing, and then that can get moldy over time, and so I'm just not a big Keurig fan. I'll link the videos that I put in another video before down below regarding kind of coffee makers and why it grosses me out. So the other question I get asked frequently is if I take supplements, and the answer is yes. There's 4 that I take pretty much daily. The first one is ascorbic acid, which is just vitamin C. I did the other video when I was sick and I made that drink. That's pretty common for me to drink pretty much every day. The other one that I take pretty frequently is K2D. This is a blend of it, so I get my vitamin D from it as well as my K2. So I do take this every day. Potassium is something that I also have to supplement in. I am not able to get enough of it in my day, so I usually take 2 of these 99 milligram tablets per day, and yeah, that it gets me enough so that way I'm not deficient and I keep my electrolytes up. It's important to keep in mind that I take these based on what my diet is, and you want to make sure that you're supplementing based on what your diet is and not what somebody else is doing. So the other thing that I like to supplement in is fish oil. This helps me to get in my omega-3s, keep them balanced, and just get in a lot of good other fat sources so that, I'm able to keep my hormones balanced and myself healthy. So when it became time for lunch, I kept things simple this day and just did a tuna salad with a side salad. So I just took this tin of tuna. This is Wild Planet. I mixed it in with a couple tablespoons of the Chosen Foods avocado oil mayonnaise, as well as some jalapeno peppers. I like food spicy, so that's what I do. And some pine nuts. Pine nuts are a great source for potassium. So you get about 4% of your daily potassium needs from 1 serving of pine nuts, and so it's just a great way to just continuously add it in there. And so I mixed all those ingredients together with some onion powder as well as some salt, pepper, and then I also added in some kelp granules. Kelp granules are a great way to get in some iodine. Iodine can be missing in our diets when we are on keto because we may be using pink salt or sea salt, and so it's not iodized with the iodine, so you just want to make sure you're getting it in there. So very simple lunch, just kind of kept things low key, yep, like I said, enjoyed this with a side salad, so I just did my favorite dressing and then a couple cups of the spring mix. So when it became time to start thinking about dinner, I'd actually thought about it earlier in the day because I knew I was going to be making this stew. It's kind of like a cauliflower chowdery type stew. So it's just about 8 ounces of stew meat, and I put it into a crock pot and have it cook for about 5.5 to 6 hours on low heat. Completely cover the meat in water, add salt, pepper, and onion to it, and then just cover it and kind of walk away until the meat is fully cooked. When it comes out, it's extremely juicy and incredibly tender. So when it came closer time to actually start making the soup, I cut up an entire small head of cauliflower. I use a small head because you don't really need a ton of it in order to make it creamy. There is no dairy in this, so it's really, a lot of it is from the cauliflower. So I just completely cut that off, cut off all the stems, put it on a baking tray, covered it with about a tablespoon of olive oil, put it in the oven at 425 degrees for about 20 minutes. So then I chopped up about 3 ounces of these baby portobello mushrooms, just chopped them up into tiny little pieces. These type of mushrooms are full of potassium. They will give you about 14% of your daily potassium per 2-ounce serving, so that is major. And yeah, they're just really easy to add in. They don't add a lot of carbs, and so they're just perfect. So I did about a teaspoon of garlic into this as well. There's about 1.5 ounces of olive oil in that pot, just to allow everything to kind of, simmer and saute and marinate up. So once that was cooked, kind of just let that go, and then on the side chopped up about 1.5 cups of spinach, just into kind of tiny little ribbons. So yeah, and then just set that aside. So then in order to kind of make the creaminess within the soup, I use pine nuts. Like I said before, pine nuts are another great source of potassium, so I try to get it in there and sneak a little bit more in. I also added a little bit more olive oil, so once that cauliflower was roasted, it came out of the oven. Put about 1.5 tablespoons of the olive oil in there, and then about 3 tablespoons of pine nuts into the mixer and completely just mashed it until it became super kind of creamy. This would also be an amazing way to make a mashed potato with the cauliflower as well. So I just added it to that mixture, and then the beef was ready to come out. It was super tender and just really perfect. And then I took that out, added the meat to the cauliflower, and then proceeded to take out 2 cups of the liquid that the beef cooked in, and then added that to the whole mixture and just kind of mix that all together, having the cauliflower kind of get taken into the broth. The broth is going to have some extra protein, and it's also going to have all that salt and pepper and onion that was added in there earlier, so you're getting all those flavors again. And then once that was all blended together, I added the spinach, blended that in, and kind of just allowed everything to kind of simmer and cook together. And then it was pretty much ready to serve after that. So kind of like I said, this is a great kind of, chowdery stew type meal. This kind of reminds me of like an Italian wedding soup, except without the meatballs. And so this is just really easy to serve. This makes 2 servings in total. I'm just dishing up about 1 1/4 cup of the stew, and then my husband ends up having about 1 3/4, so he has a little bit bigger portion. Really creamy, really rich. Totally hits the spot if you're looking for kind of a creamier soup, but you don't want to have dairy and you're also trying to figure out a way to get in some more nutrients. Spinach is great. I used grass-fed beef on this, so that's awesome. There's, extra nutrients in the cauliflower, and then the pine nuts and the mushrooms, they have a ton of those great, it's got a ton of potassium as well as other minerals in there. So perfect option if you just want to get some more minerals in. So the bonus meal that I have for you guys is the spinach biscuits that I've posted a few times now on Instagram. These are so easy to make and they're so delicious, and when you cut them in half, they're beautiful. Like watch this, when I cut this one in half, boom, that looks awesome. So easy biscuits to impress any of your friends. So you want to start off with 2 large eggs. You want to completely whisk them, get those yolks and whites mixed together, get it nice and fluffy. It's really important in order to avoid air bubbles that each ingredient is mixed thoroughly together. So I added in 1/2 cup of almond flour and then completely mixed that in. So again, no air bubbles. And then I added in 1/4 cup of oil. I'm using avocado oil, but you could use coconut oil if you wanted to. It will just add that flavor to it. Or you could use olive oil if you wanted. You could also use butter. Just make sure it's about a 1/4 serving of your oil or fat. I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of onion powder. This is going to give it a lot of flavor. I'm also adding in some salt and pepper, probably about a 1/4 teaspoon of each. I'm also adding in a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And as you will have noticed, between each step as I'm adding things in, I'm blending it in. This is going to help to prevent the air bubbles. I added in 1 cup of chopped spinach. You really want to kind of chop it up into kind of smaller ribbon pieces and then fold it into the batter so that way it's completely in there and each biscuit has an appropriate amount of spinach. So then I'm putting the batter into a muffin or cupcake tin. I've sprayed it with a little bit of coconut oil so it doesn't stick, and I'm doing 2 teaspoons of the batter into each cupcake or muffin holder, and it's gonna make 4 total. So I put in the oven at 425 degrees for 15 minutes and they turned out perfect. So very easily to kind of make these biscuits. So while I was cooking these, I was cooking the rest of the dinner. So I'm gonna make an open face kind of egg sandwich dinner. In total, my dinner took me about 20 minutes to make, so really quick, really simple. And as you can see, when you cut these biscuits open, they look awesome. I mean, they're perfect for Instagram photos and food photography, or just impressing that hard to impress food person that doesn't believe keto could be nutritious, or, you know, anything other than, you know, really simple butter dishes. So I put 2 turkey sausages on the biscuits and then put 2 eggs that I had fried up, and then I had also sauteed up some onions as well as mushrooms because, you know, I'm all about that potassium apparently in this video. And then I added 1/2 of an avocado for a little bit more fat and then some hot sauce. So this was a super simple dinner, took 20 minutes, very easy to make and super awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and getting a glimpse of what it is I'm eating on a day in keto. My macro nutrient breakdown will be here in a second. But if you guys do enjoy these videos and you do enjoy seeing what I eat in a day, please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. That really lets me know that you guys enjoy these videos, that they're helpful. I'm really trying to make sure that I'm showing you what I'm eating and why, and being really thoughtful and kind of giving a lot of information at the same time. Showing it, giving you guys recipes, just so that way it's a very encompassing video versus just, hey, here's a plate of food. There it is. So yeah, until next time, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everything's going great on your journey, and I will see you guys later.